Welcome back to another episode of the Becoming Podcast built from failure. This is your host, Rogelio Diaz. And today we are going to go into one of my favorite topics. Today's podcast episode is titled Failure Isn't the End of Your Story. And if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, I hope you know, man, this is where we turn failure into power. This is where we turn everything you felt that disqualified you from serving, from being an entrepreneur, from living your dream. This is where we find out why all that shit actually qualifies you to serve and to do what you want to do in this life, because we're the only ones that sign ourselves off. We're the only ones that count ourselves out. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to go into deep detail of the power, what comes with the power of failure, right? And how powerful it is and how many lessons and how many gifts come from failing. I'm going to share a piece of one of Napoleon Hill's chapter from the 16 Laws of Success titled Failure. I love how he words it too. He calls it the dumb language of failure. This is one of my favorite chapters from that book. And I think it really just, it shows you the best of the best, the greats. They've all failed miserably. They've all failed so much, but that's what made them great. So if you feel like you're a failure, if you feel like you're a loser, if you feel like you failed so much and this dream, this mission, this higher calling, this mission that you have maybe just isn't for you because it hasn't worked out yet, stick around, bro. I got you. You're going to see why it's still for you and it's still meant for you, and you're more than qualified, right? So I got my notes here. Failure, I want to let you know that failure isn't proof your dream is over at all. Like that's like the core message for today. It doesn't mean that it's not for you, right? It's often the process that destroys the version of you that can't carry the next level. That's what happens, right? It's like a repositioning, a pivot that's happening in your life, a transformation. Like there's so many lessons in the failures, right? And what we're going to do today is we're going to reframe failure from punishment to preparation. You're always becoming. This is why it's called the Becoming Podcast, because you're always becoming. And this is why it's called Built from Failure. It was honestly inspired by this chapter of Napoleon Hill's book, because that's what a lot of the people that follow me, they failed 1,000 times, but they're still trying. They're still trying. Sometimes we just need that push, that momentum in the right direction. But this is going to be a good one, guys. This is going to be a good one. And like I've mentioned, I love the way Napoleon Hill says it. He calls it the dumb language of failure when he talks about the lessons that failure teaches us. And there was a point in my life where I really questioned myself, right? Failure made me question myself more than anything else in my life, because I failed at school. I failed at businesses that I tried to start up in the past. I tried a couple things. I was a distributor for a supplement company, my personal training studio. I've tried building my own business with sales, being a closer. There's been a lot of things that I've failed at building successfully, and I questioned it, right? My coaching business, like I can't tell you how many times I was in some tough positions, right? And I couldn't get myself to the spot that I wanted to be at. And it just, I get it, right? It gets to you. It messes with you mentally, because you think that, again, it's not for you, right? You start to question yourself. And the thing is, failure makes temporary moments feel permanent, right? When you're in that state, when you feel like shit, when you feel like you're exhausted and you're trying so hard and you don't really see much happening, you think that's going to be forever. You think that's the rest of your life, and it's not, right? You start questioning your worth, your ability, your future, everything. Because in that moment, just that moment, you have all these emotions coming up, these beliefs about yourself. Well, it's a huge trigger for your quote unquote lower self to come in and have all these things come up that you felt as a kid, right? There's a lot of inner child limiting beliefs that we have that come up in these times, and maybe your parents installed some of them by accident or consciously. But what happens is something doesn't work out the way that you think it should, right? Or you're not where you want to be yet. And the thought comes up that says, this failed, right? This failed. And a lot of the times when that comes up, you interpret it as, I'm a failure because this thing didn't work out, right? And it's not true, man. It's simply not true, right? Because failure creates an emotional distortion, but you're just confirming beliefs that you already have about yourself. And until you challenge those beliefs, it's going to stay the same, bro. Everything, there could be so many gifts in a situation, in a failure moment, but because you haven't gone deeper into this belief that's in your subconscious, you just accept it. You're like, oh well, I guess I'm a failure. Just how I have done in the past, right? I guess I'm a loser. I guess I will never amount to nothing. But that's not the case. And if you need help with that, bro, get the course Courage Unleashed. It's in the description. It's going to help you really go deeper into it and finally handle that. Right? There's different. I had a belief that I was a fuck up. Right. And through the process, the 5-step process I walk you through called my truth process in the course, I realized I was the exact opposite, right? I bet you right now there's certain beliefs that you have about yourself and they're not even true. And you're living a lie because you think that's who you are and it's not. And you're so much more. There's greatness inside of you, bro. You're powerful. But until you can see that, until you work through, until you do the inner work necessary to work through the stuff that's holding you back, you're gonna keep having situations and moments where you quote unquote failed, and you're just gonna be validating that belief about yourself. But I'll share this vulnerable story. Now, there was a season where I just kept starting over. I kept starting over, right? And I I was falling off. I was like, man, when it came to like content creation and just, building the coaching business, and I would get inspired, I would make plans, and then I would fall off, right? And then I was really, really struggling with consistency. And I would feel disappointed in myself every time. I was questioning whether I was really built for this because I'm like, why can't I stick with it? Right? We need more patience than we think we need because we don't know when or how it's going to happen for us, right? When we're going to get to that point where things start to really pick up and we start to get that momentum, we have no idea. But you got to stay long enough in the game to find out what that point is in your life, right? Because people blow up in different ways and people build their business to different ways. And you got to find your way. Right? That's the number one thing I tell my clients. You got to find your way that works best for you because people will sell you shit left and right. And they'll tell you this is the best, this is the best way to go full time or whatever, bro. But it's just what worked for them. And sometimes it will work for them, does work for you, but you got to know in your heart that that's something you can stick with, and that's something that actually aligns with you and works with you, works for you. Because if it's not, you're not going to stick with it. That's the one thing about starting and stopping is that you get to try a lot of shit, right? A lot of different strategies, a lot of different ways, and that's good. That's a good thing because you get to see what works, what doesn't. But it, it gets detrimental when you live like that for years. And that's the issue, right? Like when you just can't get out of that pattern. A lot of the times the issue isn't a lack of desire either, right? You want it, you're hungry, you've been asking for this. You freaking wrote it down on a piece of paper. Like, really try to create this. You really try to manifest this and you have that burning desire like Napoleon Hill says. But your identity and your emotional patterns are just not strong enough yet. You got to be a certain person to really obtain that. You really got to follow through, bro. And that a lot of the times is just keeping your word. If you can do one small thing, one non-negotiable in your life every day, or, whenever you say you're going to do it, that's going to start to build a self-trust. That's going to start to build discipline. That's going to start to raise your standard. And you're going to show yourself that you can keep your word. And that's one of the best things to start creating new emotional patterns that you can do is what's one non-negotiable, right? That you'll do daily, if not every other day, because that's how you start to gain your trust again, right? For me, it was just going on walks again. I used to love to walk. I would get up, take my shower, go outside, start walking, put on an audiobook. That was my routine. And I got out of that routine. And recently, when I've been burning myself out at the gym because it's too much to lift every day for me right now. This adrenal stuff that I'm healing through, but it's like I can walk. And that once I made that my non-negotiable and changed up my patterns, it was just so much. It has a ripple effect. It's so much easier to make changes in other areas of your life. Right? So that's what I would recommend, just to start creating new emotional patterns. What's one non-negotiable that you can do every day, if not every other day, that's going to help you head in the direction that you want to head, whether it's your health, your business, just being better at the work that you do, whatever it is, one non-negotiable, right? Now, I'll share this. I wasn't failing because I didn't care. right? I was failing because the old version of me kept trying to build a life only the new version of me could carry. You got to get honest with yourself, man. You have to get real honest with yourself because who you used to be cannot get you to where you want to be. And it's going to do everything it can to hold on to those patterns, to hold on to what you're doing to keep you stagnant. And it's going to be hard to break off from that. But it's not about also it's not about, punishing that part of you or belittling it or getting angry at it. While all that, with the anger, while the anger is valid, it's about understanding it, right? Why do you do that? Why do you keep doing that pattern? What's the emotional payoff for it? And once you understand that, it gets easier, right? But also, as you start to build more discipline within yourself, you realize there's a lot of shit that you don't even need, right? My old mentor would say, sometimes you got to fuck with something to realize how much you don't need it. And that's what happens. That's what happens because there's a lot of things that I used to take, like in regards to stimulants, that I thought I needed, that I thought I needed this to perform at a high level. That was BS. No, like it was just my own dopamine addiction, right? It was my own way of that dopamine addiction and burning myself out because I remember I would be like, well, I'm too tired. I'm too tired to do work, right? And it was just me like keeping myself in the suffering loop so that I wouldn't fail because I was so afraid to get it wrong. I was so afraid to fail at whatever I was doing. And I'd keep myself in this tired, fatigued state so that I wouldn't have to work. And once I realized what was happening, it was easier to snap out of it. So that awareness helps tremendously as well, right? But and that's the powerful thing about failure too. It exposes the patterns, right? It exposes the beliefs that you have when something doesn't go your way or, you've been sticking with it for X amount of time and it doesn't come through. What thoughts come to mind? What beliefs come to mind about who you are? And it's usually your parents' beliefs about you too. The irony, right? That's the thing. You can't avoid this. You can't avoid this because that's a little jumpy today. But failure reveals what you've been avoiding every time. Maybe there's certain responsibility. There's things that you've been avoiding that you need to handle. There's a traumatic experience that needs to get dealt with, right? That needs to be gone into. It brings up a lot, bro. And that's where the gift is as well, because you can feel all those emotions that you've been suppressing. You can feel what you've been avoiding and finally freaking handle it because it ain't going anywhere. It's going to be right there next to you, walking by you, right? But just walking beside you because you haven't made a decision to go and handle it once and for all. I made a choice a long time ago, early in my journey, my entrepreneur / healing journey. At I don't care. I didn't care what I had to face within myself. I didn't care how much it hurt, how scared I was. I was going to do it because I refused to live as a victim to my own past. I refuse to let those emotions control me, those triggers dictate my future. 'Cause that's what happens, bro. Once you make a decision, say, fuck that. I'm going to go into this, right? I'm going to finally heal this because I deserve a better life, because I know I can be more. You're going to start to shift and you're going to find the resources. You're going to find the people that are going to help you do just that. I'm telling you, man, Courage Unleashed will help you tremendously with that, right? Then there's self-sabotage, right? And failure reveals all the self-sabotage that's been getting in the way, the fear of responsibility, the fear of being seen. And the awareness feels painful at first, but it is a gift. It is because you get to see yourself. You're willing to have that honest conversation with yourself in those moments. You can grow and find out so much about yourself, right? There's so much spiritual growth in that, but you got to be willing to face it. You got to be willing to do it. And to be honest, your business, your dream, it ain't going to happen until you do, right? Or, well, because sometimes everybody has a different story, right? Because sometimes people make it, but they still have all this baggage, they still have all this shit in the back they haven't dealt with. So you pick your poison, bro. You really do. But for me, my path, it's been what I've done is I've addressed the healing work first. And then that's made it so much easier to build, right? To get clarity on how I want to help and to get clarity on where I wanted to go. There was a point, bro, where I bought this course to go full time. Was my purpose, right? Helping people, being a coach, creating products at X, Y, and Z, like etc. I bought this course. It's a hell of a story. I had my last $5,000 from my personal training studio. Like after it didn't fall through, or after it fell through, I had the last 5K, and I took that 5K and I invested, was it like 750, 800? No, it was a grand. It was a grand into this course. I'm there, I'm kneeling, bro. I'm kneeling, hand crawl. And I'm like, did I just make the right move? Like I was just like freaking out, almost having an anxiety attack. And then I got the thought, go buy a laptop. And it's actually the same laptop I'm using right now. And I'm like, what? I just spent 1 grand on this freaking course. I'm talking to myself. Like, you want me to go and buy a laptop? I was so afraid. But what I was really doing was going all in. I was burning the boats. I was giving myself no other outlet. I had to make this work. And I went and I bought the freaking laptop, and the rest is history, because put skin in the game. My money where my mouth, I put my mouth where my money is, right? Or how did I go? I put my money where my mouth is. Dude, like, I gave myself no other choice, you know? Know what happened, bro? I blew up overnight. I wish. I did nothing with the course for 6 months. Absolutely nothing. Didn't even touch it. And I was judging myself, right? I thought I was wasting my time. All again, it triggered all these emotions about me and just I'm worthless. Like, look, I can't even follow through. Why did I buy the course? There goes, X amount of money. But later I realized just the beliefs that were coming in internally, right? Like, I realized what was really happening. It was a strong trigger, like I said. I realized, bro, that there was a lot of inner work to do. And this shit wasn't, again, I had to deal with this that was getting in the way my whole life, not just for that, but my whole life. I had to handle these beliefs first. And I did. And what do you know? After those 6 months, the first 3 months that I went into that course, and I went all in. I gave it my all. I signed my first couple clients, coaching clients. That was such a proud moment, but I couldn't move to that step until I handled this previous step first, right? But the awareness is what helped me tremendously, really seeing what was getting in the way so I could actually freaking heal it, right? And this is why oftentimes things get worse before they get better. But can you stay when things get worse? Can you see the patterns in those moments? Because that's what you're being asked to go into, bro, right? Like you're not being punished. You're becoming conscious. Can you see that? Can you go into that? Can you follow the steps that your spirit, your higher self has laid out for you? Because if you can't, you're going to keep repeating those loops and staying there. And it's going to cost you more than just that moment. It's going to cost you your whole dream. It's going to cost you your whole purpose, your whole mission. If you believe that moment of failure was what the whole rest of your destiny is going to be. If you believe that, that's where you're going to remain. That's where you're going to stay, you know? But if you have the awareness, you realize that failure forces identity change every time. That pain that you feel in that time, it forces you to change, right? And that's what I mean. Like, the old you can't carry you to the next level. You have to feel that. As much as it hurts, as many beliefs as it brings up about yourself that aren't, again, they're not even true. Somebody made you believe that, or the meaning and emotion that you attach to a certain situation that happened in the past made you believe that. How many people feel like they're idiots when they're really intelligent, but in different ways? Like, I see so many people, like, and again, I've lived this myself, that feel because they got bad grades in school that they're dumb, that they won't amount to much. When in all reality, they weren't meant for that, right? A lot of them, they were meant to live a completely different life than just a regular American dream, or, the traditional college route. But their parents pushed it on them. And I shared in the previous video, my sister, she ended up going to college just for my parents, to make them happy, right? And it's like, you got to live for you. And the only way you can really live for you is if you do the inner work, if you heal the stuff that's getting in the way of you getting to the real you, right? All these unconscious beliefs, all these habits that are keeping you where you're at and stopping you from becoming who you came here to become. If you really want to be more, you're going to have to push out of your comfort zone. push out of mommy's house. You're going to have to do everything that you're afraid of, right? I burned the boats when I moved to Sedona, Arizona from Chicago, Illinois. I didn't give a fuck about the cost, man. I was ready. This might seem a bit drastic. Asked my girlfriend, Serena, at that time, I said, I'd rather die than go back to Chicago because that's how sick and fucking tired I was of living that life. I was drinking every weekend, drinking a couple times a week, actually. I was in an unhappy relationship. It's crazy because I did quite a bit of work and went into personal development and I learned a lot, but these old patterns were still there. And the environment was a hard trigger for those patterns as well. Living with my parents, I still felt like a kid. I had to go and I had to grow and I had to see what I can do on my own. Sometimes you have to do that. You have to do that because if you stay in a comfortable environment, there's not going to be much of a need to even grow. For what? You got it all, bro. You're good. That's the issue. That's the issue, you know? If you can put yourself in a new environment and take more of a risk, bet on yourself. These old habits eventually collapse and you give yourself enough time for this new version of you to come in, right? Because again, as you fail and you fail and you fail, the failure pushes transformation. That's what we're here to do, right? You're just going to stay the same. Like some people, all they live for is partying every weekend and doing, doing dumb shit. Man. But you know you're more than that if you're watching this. What are you going to do to change your life? For me, it was learning one new thing a day. At 22, I'm about to be 33 at the end of May. At 22, I went to sleep one night drunk. And I asked myself if this was going to be the rest of my life. I said no. While I was drunk, bro. And I told myself, you know what? I'm going to learn one new thing every day to better myself. Because I felt like shit about myself. And I hated who I was becoming. And I was so done with feeling that way about myself. If you're there, change is here, right? One new thing. And that was my one non-negotiable. I didn't even know it at the time, but and that's what got me into my first mentor. Watch a YouTube video titled Why I Have No Friends. I lost all my friends at that time. It was just me, but I got to know me. That's a beautiful time in your life too, you know? But, I'll finish today's podcast episode with this. I stopped waiting to feel ready before I moved. A lot of these moments, man, when I got my first personal training studio, when I moved to Sedona, Arizona, when I bought that course, like I stopped waiting to feel ready. I just said, all right, let's do it. Is this going to help me grow? Yes. Cool. Let's go. Right. I wanted to change so bad and I was willing to invest in and sacrifice whatever. If you're not willing to do that, man, what's going to happen is just we're going to complain and we're going to get angry about our situation. And we're just going to, bitter about it and be bitter, but do nothing. Don't be that person, bro. Don't just complain and be a victim. Have whatever little inspiration, whatever little courage you have to make a difference within yourself, because you're not going to be able to make a difference in your business and other people's lives until that happens. What the hell is going to change, bro? Only you can answer that, right? But I hope you realize that there's so many blessings hidden inside failure. And Napoleon Hill was right. Failure has a dumb language, but it teaches you so much. Humility, empathy, resilience, self-responsibility, emotional depth, discernment, right? Like if you feel behind, if you feel like you're in a phase where you're restarting your business, or if you're burnt out, if you're scared to try again, if you're questioning yourself right now, I want you to know that easy success often creates weak foundations. You're going through your own process. You need to create a strong foundation for yourself, because if it comes too quick, if the success comes too easy, it ain't going to last. And I'm telling you from lived experience, bro. As fast as my personal training studio came, when I partnered up with my business partner, as fast as that shit left, you got to build something of your own. And that's why I'm such an advocate for that, right? Build something of your own first. And then if you want a partner, go for it, bro. Can't. And build something that lasts from a weak foundation. You just can't, right? And that pain, it matures you. It levels you up. It helps you grow in every freaking way, right? The people who never fail often never become. So it's good to fail. You're becoming. This is a part of your journey. And I know right now it probably sucks. You probably aren't too happy about it. You probably wish that you didn't fail as much. But, everybody has a different journey. And it's on you if you're going to let those failures be the reason why you stop, or the reason why you make sure you get to where you want to go and and make sure those failures were for nothing, that were not for nothing. It's on you, bro. What are you going to do? Right? Some of the best things in your life may come disguised as failure. Failure may be preparing you for the responsibility of your next level. Don't make this temporary pain your identity, bro. Keep walking. There's so much more. There's so much more. Now, I'll leave you with this final thought, man. Maybe failure isn't destroying you. Maybe it's building the version of you who has the capacity and can carry the dream that you've always wanted to build. What if? Hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. I'll see you on the next one. If you want to work with me one-on-one, go ahead and view the description below. If you haven't checked out Courage Unleashed yet, go ahead and check and view the description below. It's going to help you with everything we talked about today. This is a chance to bet on yourself, right? I found my purpose because of a course that I came across and I invested in. From there on, I saw the importance of investing in yourself. You can only watch so much free shit online. But I'm telling you, bro, invest in yourself, whether it's with me, with somebody else, but get what you need, get the resources you need so you can get to where you want to be, right? If you're all in, view the description below, bro. Get Courage Unleashed. You want to work one-on-one with me? Again, I'm here. I got you. We'll go real deep into your situation and find a solution once and for all. Until next time. I just wanted to make this quick video for you to give you more details and share more on Courage Unleashed. If you've been curious, if you're wondering what it's about, right? I have the actual course pulled up here, and I just wanted to walk you through every step and kind of inform you and share with you what to expect, right? What are you really going to get out of this? Is it really going to help you? Is it a waste of time for you? By the end of this couple minute video, you're really going to get to see if it's for you or not, right? So first here in the module 1, I go through the course overview with you, and I share with you what's coming up, what to expect, what kind of transformation to expect by the end of the course, right? And then I go right into the first module, the first video, lesson 1, or lesson 2, so to speak, the raw truth. This is where you have an honest conversation with yourself. This is where you really call yourself out. Let it come to Jesus conversation, right? Where you're brutally honest with you and you face yourself and you really see what's been going on, what you've been doing to your life, to your business, how you've been running things. This is where you really have a chance to be fully honest with you. And in my experiences and with all the clients that I've worked with, no change, no transformation could happen until they went into the truth. Raw, unfiltered, no sugar-coated truth. And once they were able to go into that, then they could take the next step, right? And again, this whole process was created from me going through my own process, and this came out, right? And I walked many clients through this process one-on-one, and I saw the results. I saw the inner changes that were happening from doing this kind of inner work. And I had to make it into a course to get it out there to as many people as possible, right? Then we go into module 2, identifying the central theme. Now for this one, we're going to bring to light what's been hiding in the unconscious. There's a pattern, there's a story, there's something that's been playing out in your life, in your business, that is keeping you where you're at, that is keeping those limiting beliefs on repeat, right? For me, it was that I was a failure. I had that on repeat in my mind. And you only really know how much you've gone into things and how much you've actually shifted or released stuff by the result in your life, right? So if you don't have what you want right now, if you're not living your dream, so to speak, like there's an unidentified theme that's playing out. And there's usually 2 contradicting beliefs that are playing out as well, right? Like I believed I was a failure and I didn't believe I was a success. So I remember literally writing this, as I was doing this process, bro. I was writing, I believe I'm a failure, right? But I want to be a success. But how can I be a success if I believe I'm a failure? It's just, and one of those is going to win at the end of the day. So I help you get the underlying, the theme, so to speak, right? The core central theme of the story, of the belief that you're playing out, where, and I went even deeper and I realized I was an F up, right? Like that's how I felt about myself, that I was an F up. And it was because I gave myself this time and space to actually go into me and find out what's going on, bro, right? It's like you're doing spiritual surgery on yourself. Like you have to identify the central theme so you can see what you're going up against, so you can see what you're facing, right? And then we're going to go into the origin. We're going to find the origin. Where did this pattern, this belief, even this trauma originate from, right? Like, this is a deeper journey, bro. Like, you got to know where it originated from. You got, right? You got to know where it came from, where it stemmed from, so you can understand it better. So you can finally start to let it go, to heal it, to change it, right? Like, if for me, my origin was when I was a kid. I got really bad grades, and I hated report card day. Oh my gosh, I hated it. And I would come home, and I didn't even want to show my parents my report card day. This is like in third and fourth grade. I would get D's, F's, C's. And my parents were paying for me to go to a Catholic school, so they were furious. And my mom would throw these fits and just outbursts, and I felt like an idiot. I felt stupid. I felt dumb. I felt like a failure. And it's like and then there's that part that developed at that time too, of like, I just can't get it right. Right. And all these things, bro, they play out as you get older. You're repeating the same negative emotions that you didn't want to feel as a kid. You're repeating the same negative stories and limiting and decapitating stories that you created as a kid. And until you know where it's from, bro, you just like, you're walking with your hand on your face and your eyes. Like, you got to find the origin. You have to know where it came from, right? Because once you do, you're going to actually start to feel the emotions that have been suppressed and repressed your whole life, right? And that's the whole point of finding the origin. But you got to know where it came from, so you can actually start releasing the emotions attached to it, right? Now we're going to go into, and I take you to module 4, right? My favorite. Releasing the BS narrative. That story that you're a loser, that story that no matter what you do is never enough. What's the point of trying? You'll never make it. All these stories, these narratives that are playing out in your mind, they're lies. It's BS. There's a meaning and emotion that you've attached to stuff that you have gone through that made you believe X, Y, Z was true. So we're going to challenge that, right? I was asking myself, am I really a failure? If I was a failure, how would I have done X, Y, and Z, throughout these last 10 years of my life where I thought I was nothing, right? 22 years, or I was 22, 10 years ago, I thought I was nothing, bro. I thought I never amount to anything. And I've shown myself through pushing myself and having courage. And this is why the course is called Courage Unleashed, because you're unleashing this, bro, to face yourself, to go into yourself, to challenge this BS narrative of who you think you are. And I love this quote by Bob Proctor. He says, somebody that he listened to said, are you really who you pretend to be? Right? Are you really that loser? Are you really that failure? Are you really that fraud that deep down that you've created this belief about yourself? Right? I've worked with clients that have shared that. Are you really that lower person? Right? That lower image, that lower part of you? Or is there more? Is there another part of you that knows they can be and do anything, that knows they can live the dream, that knows they have a gift, something to offer to the world, right? We're going to challenge you. Once you challenge this belief, when you challenge this narrative, this BS narrative that's playing now, you're going to start to see the flaws. You're going to start to see how untrue this is, bro. I wrote here, it's time to debunk the BS narrative that has whispered falsehoods about who you are. It's not even you, and you're believing a lie. I used to say this a lot, like, so many of us were living lies because we think we're this less than, slower version of us, and we're not. Are you ready to challenge this? You can see who you actually freaking are, right? And then the final module where we reveal the truth. This is where you actually see who you are. You get to see you're the exact opposite. You thought you were weak, you're actually strong, right? You thought you were insecure, you're actually secure. You thought you couldn't run a business, you thought you weren't an entrepreneur. You find out you actually have it all in you, bro. You're powerful. Like, you get to see your truth. You get to reveal the truth, but these are steps for a reason. So there's steps to this process for a reason, because to get to this truth and actually accept it, actually know that this is really you. You got to go through all this stuff. Going through these uncomfortable emotions, right? That you've been pushing to the side, putting under the rug for so long. Like, once you're able to reveal the truth, you become who you're meant to be, bro. And you start creating a new reality, a new actions, a new beliefs, a new narrative about what's possible for you, man. Don't dream so small, right? Like, this is going to help you actually fall in love back with your dream. and seeing that you were right. You have this gift. You have something to offer. You're going to start putting the content out. You're going to start putting your course out. I want to see your course, bro. I want to see your coaching program. I want to see your stuff, your products out there. You're going to start helping at the level you actually want to help, and having that assurance, that courage, that integrity when you're signing the clients, when you're growing your business. And right, like, this is why this course is here. Get you back out there. Heal what's in the way so you can start going all in on your dream, not leaving it on the shelf, right? Heal what's in the way, bro. You're going to start fully immersing yourself in your mission again. You're going to fall back in love with what you actually, you're going to be doing what you love to do. Because you're going to be back in the game, right? You're going to be back in the game. Like, I don't care how many times you started and stopped. I don't care how many times you had a failed launch. I don't care, bro. This is going to help you get back out there. Start taking those steps again, right? Because it's not the external, bro. It's what's going on within you. Your internal is messing you up. And this is going to help you finally rearrange that, set a new internal foundation so you can start moving forward. Stop holding back. Start taking yourself serious again. Start taking your business and your life serious again, because you can do anything, right? Like, you'll be able to actually create a reality that matches your true potential and help how you want to help, and not be on the sideline and let other people just live their dream and just watch and play victim. Like, hey, I've been there, bro. I've been there. So if you have any questions, reach out on Instagram at Rogelio Diaz Official. But this is the course. There's even a bonus module down here, right? To help you with your next steps. Guys, this is it. This is it, right? Much love. And I'll see you inside the course.